as I was throwing random things into her lunchbox again, and my husband was making his coffee, I thought to myself, wow, you have a very different life, husband, than what I do in the mornings. How lovely for you.
Welcome to the Bottle Poppin' Podcast, where Meg and Heather share their love for oils, friendship, and entrepreneurship. Let's get it poppin'.
So Heather, what are we popping open today?
We're popping open a conversation. I want to hear about your morning routine.
No way, because I want to hear about your morning routine.
I'm sure they're completely different because you are much more structured in the morning than I am. I have structure, but not quite as positive things to add to my day.
Well, I think also part of that is because I don't have kids. So like you have other humans who you are responsible for in the morning. But I think that's part of what will make this an interesting conversation, because I think a lot of our listeners will relate to one of us or both of us, in different ways. Yeah. So who wants to go first?
Okay, well, I will go first. I have a feeling that your day is going to be much more inspirational than mine. I feel like my day is based on function and function alone. I would tell you that my husband and I have very different mornings because he gets up at 5:30 and he goes out and he exercises in the garage. The dog goes with him. They go for a walk. He comes back, takes a shower, gets his stuff ready for his morning, and then takes the kid to school. My day is a little bit different because it's based around not only myself, but the two kids. And so my son and I tend to wake up at 5:50 with alarms. I don't love alarms, but at the same time, it is what it is. And we sit together in the quiet for about 10 to 15 minutes before my daughter, whose alarm is supposed to go off. But at the same time, if it does go off, it just goes off indefinitely. So I have to go upstairs then and gently, oh so gently, wake up my little cherub of, sweetie.
You're such a good mom.
Night times are very different. Go to sleep. She wakes up, comes downstairs, but now she wants to sit together too. But instead of waking up early and wanting to sit together, now I've had to sit twice. So every time I ever talk to somebody who is, I assume, more like you in regards to being motivated to work out in the morning, read something in the morning, like do very specific things, they'll encourage me to do those things in the morning when I express that I don't have as much time in my day to do them. However, that said, I don't feel like I can wake up any earlier realistically. And even though I feel like it is time that is not being utilized for something quote unquote functional, I feel like I really value those 20 to 30 minutes that I just kind of sit quietly with the kids. And so I'm not willing to give that up. One's 5th grade, one's 7th grade. And so for as long as they want to just kind of be with me, I feel like I'm going to utilize my time that way. When they're done with that, maybe I'll make time to get up and work out or whatever. So after we've sat there, I get them breakfast. I'm usually making lunch for her, which, oh my goodness, she is such a picky eater. Let me tell you that some days it is just like, what things can I throw together in this lunchbox that are not just like the things that I threw together in the lunchbox yesterday that she will eat. And then let's see, if I have to work that day, I work 2 days a week. So if I have to work that day, I throw my own stuff in a lunchbox, hopefully have some leftovers from the night before that I can add. I tend to be good about doing my VMG Plus in the morning because when I go to bed at night, I have a full glass of water. I've usually drank a little bit before bed, so the amount that's left in the cup seems to be the perfect amount that I want for my VMG Plus. When I go to get dressed, I will put whatever oil resonates with me that morning. And while I'm just standing there looking at the oils, I'll just put something on, brush my teeth with my Spearmint DoTerra toothpaste that I love. And then we got to get out the door now. Let's see. This morning, she, I don't know, hurt herself somehow the other day or earlier this week. And so she's got a bruise on her hip and her low back. So I told her to put some helichrysum on it before we leave. So there's usually an oil of something for somebody else. My son strained his elbow, so we've been putting Aroma Touch on in the morning. And then we're out the door. If it's a day that I'm going to work, I'm at work, whatever. If it's a day I'm coming home, then I finally get to have breakfast and coffee and do all of the things that aren't involved in getting somebody else ready. So that's kind of my morning.
Do the kids still take oils to school? Like I remember early on when we were doing this, especially like when we would talk about the kids' oils, they were taking different roller bottles to school. Do they still do that?
It depends on the day. So my son is in a school that has a short day, and so he doesn't have much in his bag. I don't even know that he has hand sanitizer in his bag anymore because if he goes to the bathroom and washes his hand, he doesn't often need the hand sanitizer at random times. She definitely has a hand sanitizer in her bag, the On Guard, and she had a focus oil in her backpack for a while. I'm not sure if it's still there or not. It's not something that we emphasize. We haven't had to emphasize recently.
Hmm. I'm curious, do you enjoy mornings?
Yesterday morning, or maybe this morning, as I was throwing random things into her lunchbox again, and my husband was making his coffee, I thought to myself, wow, you have a very different life, husband, than what I do in the mornings. How lovely for you to get to exercise and walk the dog and enjoy the outdoors and then get yourself ready. That said, he is the primary breadwinner. We have chosen, for me to be more of the home caregiver in these tasks. And if I asked him to, he would gladly
Hmm.
contribute as much as he needed to. And honestly, when I go out of town for a doTERRA convention and I'm gone for the full week, he completely does all of the things and pulls it off with grace. So it's not that he's not offering to do the things. He just has his routine and I have mine. So, do I enjoy mornings? It feels rushed in the time being. I would tell you that I'm not generally a morning person, but I mean overall I feel like it's part of the day. I get up and I go through it. So, it's not negative, but
Yeah.
I don't know that I enjoy my morning. That said, fast forward to the weekend. My son and I are early risers. We wake up at almost the exact same time as we do during the week, except without the alarm,
Hmm.
because we know that our bodies are going to wake up at this time. And so we like to go to bed on time. He and I are in bed by 10 because we know our bodies are going to wake up on the weekends between 6 and 7. My husband and daughter, they are just such night owls, and it is so hard to get her to go to bed on time knowing that she has to wake up during the week, but on the weekends they will easily sleep in until like 8:30. So he and I just have this like quiet time together, on the weekend mornings, which I'm fine with that too. And then I enjoy the weekends cuz it's
Yeah.
a little bit more a slower pace, but like I love the morning outdoors. So yes, I feel like I enjoy mornings as a whole.
Hmm. That's awesome. Well, I definitely used to be a night person, but I became a morning person intentionally in 2018. So at the time, I still had my corporate job, but I just started hearing about people's morning routines and how it would set up their day to be better. And I was like, I want that. And so I started waking up earlier and doing different things. And it's funny because I'm definitely not as structured now as I used to be with my mornings. But part of that is because I do work for myself. So I have a lot more flexibility with my day versus when I had my corporate job. But I generally wake up early as well. And because of all the years of my corporate job waking up early, my body just adjusted. And now I don't use an alarm clock if I don't have to, which 99% of the time I don't have to use an alarm clock, which is lovely. I really hate being jarred awake. Like
Yeah.
that just starts your day off, I feel like, on a bad foot.
Yeah.
Like what a horrible way to start, you know? So I'm grateful I don't do that. Heather and I were joking earlier about my wake up time or laughing earlier about my wake up time because I tend to wake up anywhere in the 5 o'clock hour all the way up till like almost 7 a.m. So I kind of have a 2 hour window, but more often than not, I wake up pretty close to 6 a.m. But my favorite thing to do is to wake up at 5:55 because in 2020, like when the world was falling apart, I decided anytime I saw a clock that had repetitive numbers, I would view that as God's little love note to me, telling me that I am loved. And so to like wake up and look at the clock and have it be 5:55, I'm like, oh, this is going to be a good day. It started with the "I love you, Meg." So stupid, but Yeah, and even when you said your wake up time, I was like, Heather, you should move it back to 5:55. It's just 5 minutes more.
So, Meg, in middle school, I definitely remember like watching the clock turn the same numbers and how exciting it was as a middle school girl. So, I
Yeah.
love that this is like a tradition for you too.
Yeah, it's been 5 years, but amazing. And I actually now, like throughout the day, as I see these little love notes, I will write it down on my day planner. So, like every day, I've got different, it was 11:11, and I saw my little love note, and it was, 2:22, whatever. So, yeah, I'm a big nerd, but I'm okay with that. When I wake up, I've shared this before, but I drink 35 ounces of water every morning. And I kind of do that definitely before I consume caffeine. But a lot of times I can get through most of that even before I eat. And the first thing I do is I gratitude journal. So I just write down 3 things that happened within the last 24 hours that I'm grateful for. And they don't have to be huge things. Like one of the things I wrote down this morning was yesterday during my morning walk, I saw 3 bunnies. And like, how cute is that? So it doesn't have to be anything huge, but just something that brought me joy the day before. And again, I feel like that just sets me up for success. And then after gratitude journaling, then I exercise. And this also started in 2018. At the time, I was not really exercising regularly. And honestly, I didn't like exercising back then. I love it now. But it was easy for me to do before I was like fully awake. It's like I couldn't talk myself out of it. And so that has just kind of stuck. And so for my workouts, I tend to go back and forth between strength training and yoga. Those tend to be my 2 go tos. Although lately I've been mixing it up a little bit and finding some other fun things. But I'll do some type of workout. And then ideally, the sun is just barely up. And I love going for a walk. And so exposing my eyes to morning sunlight, not wearing sunglasses so that it helps your body set your melatonin. So huge. Like just a 10-minute walk. It doesn't have to be a long walk, but again, I just feel like it sets my day up for success. I also, after my workout, especially if I'm strength training, I will eat like a mini breakfast. So it might be as small as like a hard boiled egg or a meat stick or something like that. But really, for women, you should, within the first hour, and I think it might be within the first 30 minutes, you should eat at least 5 grams of protein. And so I'll do that. And then I always mix my water with a scoop of creatine, which again helps with building muscle, but it also helps with brain clarity. And then I add in a drop of MetaPower. So creatine doesn't have any flavor, but I'll add in a drop of MetaPower as well. And that way I'm boosting my metabolism at the same time. And so I kind of like that. I will shower, and I have all doTerra products in my shower as well. So I love the bath bar soap, the spa one specifically. Like it lathers so nicely. I use that even as shaving cream. Like I don't use shaving cream anymore because that soap lathers so well. And I use the doTerra shampoo and stuff like that. And then I will come downstairs again, fix myself some breakfast, like eat a real breakfast, not just a meat stick. And a lot of times at that point, I've gotten through my 32 ounces of water. And so now I'm drinking VMG plus with my breakfast. After breakfast, I will make my coffee. So always eat food first before coffee, especially for women. Super helpful, especially if you struggle with stress or struggle with high cortisol levels, which I do. And I think most women do. Like, Heather, you just talking about your morning versus your husband's morning. Like most of us really shouldn't be drinking coffee first for that reason. We have a lot on our plates. But with my coffee, I love to add a drop of peppermint to that as well, and super refreshing. And while the coffee is brewing, so I've got a French
French
press.
press. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was going to say French pot. I'm like, that's not right. Yeah, I have a French press. So it takes, at least 5 minutes for it to brew. And so during that time, I will fill up the diffusers as well and make the house smell good. And I guess the one thing I forgot to mention, right after my shower, I do a whole face routine. So I now have a face brush, which actually was inspired by Emily Wright. She recently showed her her skincare routine, and she had a face brush, and I was like, oh, I want that. So one of my sisters got me that for Christmas. But I brush my face, and then I add on my oils, which I've shared about this before as well. But I think this is another one of those things that really has shifted things for me. Is I apply rose oil to my face every morning. So I've got the roller bottle that's diluted, and I apply it to my forehead, and I tell myself, I think loving thoughts, and then I apply it to the sides of my eyes where a lot of women have like lines, and I will say, I see love around me. I put it along my cheeks, both sides, kind of towards the ears, so I hear loving words. I put it around my mouth and say, I speak love. I normally just do it down my nose because it doesn't have oil on it yet. I don't say anything at that point. Maybe I smell love in the air. I don't know. But then I put it on my neck and say, I take in love. And then I follow that up with, face creams. And I generally add to my face cream a drop of yarrow palm as well oil and rub that in. But again, like just these little things, like starting the day with gratitude and the intention of putting on that oil, which is the oil of love, and just like feeding myself words of love. I mean, even my 555, Jesus loves me. Like, I think it makes a difference. So yeah, that's a huge part of my morning routine. And after that, I tend to get to work. Before I had my own business, I also, in that morning time, would fit in some type of nonfiction reading, whether that was like reading the Bible or reading some book that was going to help me move forward in my business. But at this point, like that is part of my job as a business owner, is to continually, I mean, I guess part of my job isn't to read the Bible, although I tend to do that in the middle of the day too. But the actual reading stuff to help my business, that is part of my job. So yeah, that's my morning routine.
I would love to do more for myself, as you just mentioned, in the mornings. But I'm also not willing, like I said, to kind of compromise the time that I have. And we already have a limited amount of time. I do feel like on the days where I've spent a little bit of that extra time doing that type of stuff, I do feel better going into the day. However, I have found that the more I prepare the night before, the easier the morning is too. If I can already have lunches made, I feel a lot less stressed in the morning. If I can, I shower at night, not in the morning. But so if I can straighten my hair at night, I feel better in the morning. Like I feel like then it doesn't feel quite so rushed to do all of those same for me activities.
Yeah.
The working out part is the hardest part. I actually really like working out in the middle of the day. That's not always possible, which means sometimes it doesn't happen realistically. But the sun coming up, I absolutely love being outside. And honestly, most of the days we leave the house in the dark and the sun is coming up on our drive, and it becomes a conversation topic of, wow, look at the cotton candy sky. And so we often get to enjoy the sky together. I'm not walking, I'm driving, but that is something that we pause and kind of take a moment for too, because I do enjoy the morning from that perspective.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, and it is so beautiful at that time too. But
Yeah.
I would recommend, as far as the benefits of exposing your eyes to sunlight, like maybe, and I'm sure you can't do this like at the school because drop off and you got to move your car, but go to a park right after that and at least
Meg,
get 5 minutes
nope,
if you have it.
nope.
I'm just saying, I mean, my point is the windshield is blocking your eyes from getting the full benefits. So, like, enjoying it and seeing it's pretty is one level, but next level is actually getting exposure to it. So, if you
Okay.
can find 5 minutes, so like I've got clients who are having to drive to work at that time. And so, a few of them have started, like, they'll get to work 5 minutes early so that they can literally just, you know, sit outside before they go into the office, doing something like that. If you can find 5 minutes, will make a
Well,
difference.
anybody in the greater Austin area, if you see a lady riding down the street with her head out the window in the
Yeah,
morning to
don't do
get her
that.
morning sunlight,
Don't do that. That's not what I'm saying. I know, yeah, I know that's not doable for everybody, and I definitely recognize that I've got some, I don't even know if it's privilege, because I would love to have kids, but I don't have kids, so I do have more freedom with my mornings. But if you can find little time, just a few minutes here and there to do things to set your day up and to take care of yourself, I think for every woman, that's important.
And I do feel like that's where weekend mornings actually work really well. Again, my body tends to wake up early, and I love waking up early on the
Mhm.
weekends, even if we are just kind of like sitting quietly. But at the same time, when my husband or daughter sleeps in, by the time they wake up, my son and I feel like we've gone through half of our day. Like, you
Yeah.
guys missed so much of the morning. So at nighttime, nothing's happening other than somebody sitting on the couch watching TV. And so I
Mhm.
feel like if I can get up early, I feel so much more productive through the day than staying up late at night. That doesn't make sense to me personally. And so I feel like we enjoy, my son and I at least, the mornings of the weekend for the sake of we feel like we can get a lot done before anybody else gets up. Some days I've already got like breakfast coming out of the oven because they've been sleeping so long. I've done a load of laundry, the kitchen's clean, like I've done all the things already.
Yeah. What's funny is my husband and I kind of do that too, a version of that where in the mornings, I'm getting up doing all this stuff and he likes to just lay in bed. He wakes up early, but he'll lay in bed and look at stuff on his phone before he'll get up and actually do stuff. But on the weekends, if he's not working, he is so productive. But I'm not wired that way. Like, he wants to do everything back to back to back to back. So if he's grocery shopping, he's getting up as soon as the grocery store opens and going, and taking care of all the errands he can. Whereas, like, no, the morning is still my time. So I'm still going to do this stuff and the laundry can wait.
That is so
So,
funny. Yeah, and
yeah.
obviously we are all built differently. So
Yeah.
I love it's kind of fun just to hear other people's routines and what makes them, work the
Mhm.
way that they do. So that's fun.
Yeah, totally agree. Well, I hope that you guys listening have enjoyed this too. We do plan on at some point doing our nighttime routine as well, but I always love it when you get glimpses into other people's lives. And I think a morning routine definitely is telling. So, and I love that we have very different morning routines, but still have these health habits stacked in there and even rely on our doTerra products to help us set up our day for success. So, thanks so much for listening. We'll have a new episode for you next week.
Thanks for tuning in. For more information, you can follow these bottle poppin' ladies at bottlepoppinpodcast.com. Tune in next week to learn about what bottle we're poppin'. Until next time, take care. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This podcast is not intended to treat, diagnose, cure, or prevent any disease.